What's going on, peoples? It's your boy Trey Star, aka Howard Tibbs, Howard Trey Tibbs. I'm giving it a few minutes. I'm waiting for the other sites to get connected. Looks like Facebook's connected and LinkedIn's almost connected. For those who are watching right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a WP agency summit remarks. I'll explain more about what it is in a moment, but I'll just wait until everything's connected. For those who are able to join in, I greatly appreciate it. Um, and hey, good morning. Sorry, good afternoon at some places. Yeah, good morning in some places as well. So, yeah, give me 1 second. Just waiting for the last connect to come on. If it doesn't, I can always play it later. It's not come on yet. For those who join in, I do have a chat. Also, if you guys want to have anything in the QQs, I may not jump on any QQs today because this is a very special live chat I'm going to do today. Just speaking up on my experience at this virtual summit event that just ended this weekend. So I'm just going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to just go ahead and get started. So give me 1 second. Looks like LinkedIn's not working. I don't know why. Let me see. Give me 1 second, guys. Like I said, anybody? Okay. Looks like everything looks like it's right. That's fine. If it's not working out, I can always share it again. All right. Looks well. No worries. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, guys. What's going on? My name is Howard Trae Tibbs. Some of you guys know me as Trey Star. Welcome for everyone that's watching right now. As I mentioned earlier in this special live chat, just recently just came from a virtual summit over the past week in regards to WordPress agency. It's called WP Agency Summit. As I also talked with the host, Jan, see if I get his name correctly, Jan Koch, who was the host of the event. I wanted to share my feedback and remarks in regards to this. And let me just give you a fair warning too, as well as if I miss anyone's names, I apologize. My accent could get a little bit weird, but I just wanted to definitely share my, some great remarks and feedbacks and just share a little bit about myself. So let me just get started. So basically what WP Agency Summit it was a summit, it's more of like a conference or like an online conference. Like people have workshops that they have for during the week, and it was just one of those. It's just one of the summits that they had over this weekend that spoke about that had certain topics in regards to people that are looking to create their own agencies, more specifically in websites, and more specifically using WordPress. Um, you know, this was something that was it was a much of an interest to me. I believe I got it from Troy Dean of WP Elevation. So it was just something that really interested me. And it was the event was of course free, but they have an access pass, which is I believe is 197. Which I'll speak about it in a little bit, but I definitely after watching all of the different speaks, I'm definitely looking forward to buying it. It's a wealth of information. I'm going to talk about a few of those different keynotes and talks in a few moments. But let me just tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm not going to be too long. For those who don't know, I am, as I mentioned, Howard Tibbs. I'm from Atlantic City area. I have backgrounds in customer service, just like, you're, typical guy just working in 9 to 5s, worked customer service for a long time, sales associates, stuff like that. I went to school for computer science and information to Atlantic Cape Community College in Stockton. I'm actually right now in Stockton University at their campus center, actually having this presentation right now. I am alumni here. And also, I just graduated in 2011 for computer science and information systems. And I actually, afterwards, I became I say it's a computer science, but just break it up as a word website, or it's kind of like a extranet developer and data analyst for the FAA under a contractor. Years before working as a website developer for Children's Hospital Philadelphia in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia. Did that for 6 months. And that was my dream job. My dream job was to work as a website developer. Originally wanted to do database administrator, but shout out to Angel Rivera after we did just had a little, we did testing or did some schooling on MongoDB back then, and he gave me the recommendation of doing, let's just do web developer. I mean, because database administrator is kind of one way, but web developer you can get a whole bunch of different things all wrapped up in one. So shout out to Angel Rivera on that. He just had a speak in Liberty JS a few months ago as well. So shout out to him. But anyway, 6 months in Philadelphia at Chop didn't, the contractor didn't renew it. So I ended up having to go back to New Jersey, where I'm, from. The tech market is not necessarily in the South Jersey. I'm not talking about Cherry Hill or Mount Laurel, but more so in the Atlantic City, Egg Harbor Township area. And it was very hard to find jobs, but I did manage at that time to work for Linode as a help desk, or what they call a technical support representative there. And I worked there for 6 months. But not working in my field was something that really hurt me in my career, because so just to give you kind of a rundown of my struggles, working for the FAA wasn't like my initial thing of working with, not just really because of the title, but more so I wanted to be a web developer or go towards data administration web developer. And unfortunately, I'm not unfortunately, because where you work at, you always learn and you always take everything that you learn from each experience. So it wasn't an unfortunate, but it was a great thing, particular path I wanted to go to. So I worked my way to try to be a web developer afterwards, and after WordPress and Drupal, Joomla, different open CMS Made Simple, different other ones as well, that I worked on back in the day. I was so hungry to get in the field, and I did eventually get in and chop, but that 6 month contract, it was very difficult to get in my field, just because not having enough time to do my portfolio, uh, juggling jobs, which after we ran into disagreements after 6 months, and I eventually left. So that was just something that happened to me while I worked at Linode, but had a lot of learning experiences there. Was unemployed for a little bit, but as during that time, joined Linode, joined the Item in Philadelphia, and learned more about inclusion in tech and the inclusion in tech creators in the city of Philadelphia in Center City. But just to kind of give you an idea, I worked so hard to get in web development, and that was what I wanted to focus on. And after I lost my job at Linode, I said to myself, I'm tired of trying to work at this job, work in that job, do all these type of things to get in my field. Not passing the the whiteboard interviews. Going through each and every interview and losing my confidence back and back, and starting to get in that imposter syndrome. So I had the idea in 2015 to create my own consultant firm I had like a small base um, business already that I created when I was in college to get that started, get that set up. But as I was working on it, trying to get up trying to get so many things together in the business, that I get my everything together, I ran out of money, and I went further into debt. So, not to spend too much time, but just to give you an idea what happened. Those were my struggles, and I talk about that because it was a real thing, and I spent the last 6 years trying to figure it out, and had to do it by myself. So that's what my why was. My why now, and focus more, have a redirect focus into agency. You know, at this time, I still am looking to work. Um, but it's just that fight to get in the job industries. It was hard. It was very difficult to do it by yourself and have to work here, work there, and not really love what you do, or not even love what you do, but more so put so much work to get in, and then once you're in, that motivation dies. And that's who I was feeling, and just get stuck in the circle where I'm not being productive, not being, not getting the things that I need to get done. So that was just one of the things that really motivated me to get my own consultant firm agency done. But more so, just more recently, just coming to an understanding of just this year, and finally work. I now work for a help desk for Betworks. Um, I need to focus and get my focus back into my passion, or to focus on what I love to do, and that was working on websites, being creative, expanding my mind. And that was one of the reasons why, after reading up on a lot about web agencies, I stumbled across Troy Dean's presentation about, or just talking about the WP Agency Summit, and it's from him, advertised about WP Elevation. So just my purpose for doing this, man. It's just I've always gaining knowledge, always wanting to learn, always get a lot of these things done, so that I can, basically get as much knowledge and information as possible, so I can do this the right way. And I'll talk a little bit about more so of those pressure points that touch during my journey, and why a lot of these talks that I'm going to talk about were very good, very insightful, and touch pain points that I need to do for myself. So let's just go right into it. And I mentioned, thank you very much for Troy Dean, and also for Jan Koch for presenting this WP Agency Summit. So, but yeah, talks and give my final remarks as well, and my takeaways. So, just the first thing first is first. This was a free event for the most part. But it's time, so it was like 48 hours to watch each one. But if you have a free access pass of 197, you could get access to everything, as well as other bonuses as well, such as templates and different other speeches, MP3 files. You get a whole bunch more. And again, I will be getting it soon. But I'm just going to speak on what I was able to watch as my time here. So, first off, as I mentioned, loved everyone's interview, everyone's presentations. First time I ever heard of a virtual summit. Just based on my situation right now, and basically trying to build something for myself. Right now I'm strapped to kind of go to different conferences and events. I could go to them, but not all of them. So when I can ever go to an actual event, especially virtual, that you could just at the comfort of your own home, go to different places and watch it on the car, on the train, on a bus or whatever, and just sit back and read and watch. It's a great thing to do that. I think this is a great idea, virtual summit. Whoever invented it, very good idea. That's something I'm thinking about doing in the near future as well. So, as I mentioned, if I get your name incorrectly, I apologize. But I wanted to definitely speak on it. But I wanted to give thanks to Paneet Sahalat, and Ahmad Awas. I'm not sure. I'm not getting their names correctly. I'm for it, but really like you guys presentation, the coding practices. Also, I'll speak on her later on, but also Made Batul just spoke on Gatsby JS as well. That's great information about coding best practices. Me having a front end development background, that's something that does reflect with me, especially learning about keywords. Learn about keyboard shortcuts. They're very important in development, and also other ways of being very productive. That's very important as a developer to have that. So I want to say thank you very much for that, guys. Very valuable. To Mo Cohen, Pika Nuri, and Kim Doyle. I love you guys' presentation with user interfaces, design, and content marketing. Very good. I have a background, as I mentioned, front end, and I do WordPresses when I work for. I did wireframes when I worked for for also for Chop, and that was a very good thing to get started with that first, because you get an idea where you want the website to go to. Of course, it was myself doing it, but at the same time, it's a great way to get understanding and the vision of where you want your website to take. So I definitely want to see that more again, because they get very deep dive detail about design and why it's very important. A lot of other design presentations in there as well. I'm not going to be able to touch on everybody, but I did see a lot of other ones as well, but very insightful. But here are some of the ones I really wanted to take some time to say thank you and really um, say thank you and really have my thoughts about their topics. And like I said, to say thank you for what you basically have provided. And for the first one, I believe it's the first presentation, the first day was Sujan Patel, serial entrepreneur. Um, I really like his presentation. It really got the day of the whole week started with what he was talking about with scaling your business. One of the things I thought was very important and was a huge pain point for myself when I first got started in 2015 of trying to build my own freelance business slash agency consultant firm was hire your weakness. I wish I knew more deeper into that back 5 years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I wish I knew a lot more about that, because that's very important for me to know this, because, hiring my weakness, we all of us, we get into a mindset where we get, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's just basically trying to be a perfectionist, or if it's more so of us just trying to, bring out a good product. We get so caught up into making everything making everything perfect. So I want to get my project package together even before I set this the actual prices together. I have all my proposals together, have all my workflow SOPs together, have everything together that I want to have set, so that once I'm able to get started, boom, I can just do it just like that. So that was a major pain point. I really appreciate him discussing that, because, and that's something that not only I'm going to learn, but that's something I'm taking. Um, Funny story, just a quick way to say it is a funny story about that too, is that it's funny about hiring your weakness. I remember when I first got started with my company was called Multitasking Computer Solutions. Unfortunately, it's now closed. But back then, I had an issue with Joomla, and I actually developed my website with Joomla, and I needed something done. Actually, I went to Fiverr to actually see if someone could. And shout out to Dimitri, he was the one that actually helped me out with that. He actually got the thing I needed to get done on the website very fast. But that's what kind of was the thing that got in my mind to say, hire your weakness, because at, I don't even know how much that was at the time, probably like maybe even less than that. And just like that, someone was able to come in as an expert, help me out with that. I really appreciate that. So shout out to Dimitri. That was way back when. So um, another pain point, I think that was one of the major things I wanted to really start to develop my whole system on was, and a lot of people have touched on it, and I know it's very important, and I know it's something that I feel myself, not only trying to get an agency consultant firm business together, but also get build a startup. I also have experience working for a startup. I did work as um, a developer for a company by the name of oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank right now. It'll come back to me. I have to go back to LinkedIn, but I did work for a startup company last year. It was a gaming company. They did social media, and and those guys participate in tournaments for real money. But that was just a long time ago. But shout out to Donald. if he's listening. So that was just one of the things I did. I was a part of a startup before, and being a part of that startup, I learned a lot about being a part of that startup, and just more so in SaaS, learning about the processes and things like that. I always wanted to get that that part learned up too. So one of the major things, well, get back to the topic, one of the major things I wanted to get started and really learn about was subscription based recurring revenue and creating a subscription based business. That's one of the major things I wanted to do to kind of set the tone for myself. And I think Sujan it was good for him to touch on that. And one other thing too, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, is whatever your competitors suck at, make sure you're really strong at. And I think that's very true. Um, and especially with when you talk about niches and things of that nature. So, but yeah, so Jan, thank you very much for that. Oliver Sid, I'm not sure if I said it right, owner of Web Arcs. I really like that. And I think that's a very good maintenance plan upsell as well, or just the package together. I really like the fact that that business is a great idea. I might reach out to you in the future. But this whole thing about security is very, very important. In my background, when I had to be involved with security hardening, that's a very important thing to make sure not only you're creating a website, but no one's hacking your website, hacking your customer's website, and then you have a whole bunch of issues. Also had that problem, with on the hosting and node. You had customers that had their website hacked and it affect the entire part of that block. So that's very important to, security harden from the website, and then expand to all of your different builds, all your different blocks. Because once you create that hardening mechanism, you know, even though, things happen, times happen, the extra block of protection plus having a 24/7 threat as well, you can't beat that. It's a great thing. But Oliver, I greatly appreciate that. Implementing two-factor authentication and permission is very important. It's something I still do. I am still a freelancer. I do freelancers here and there. But that's why I'm looking to take this to the next level and become an agency to have more system in place. But very good. And as I mentioned, maintenance plan. I think one of the other themes I really liked about these presentations, the maintenance plan. And even when I got started back in 2015, that was a major thing I wanted to focus on and make sure I perfected is getting the maintenance plan together in place. It's a very important thing, and I think web security is basically number one on that plan there. And then another quick thing to say, that backups offsite, that's something that I believe I did in a couple of companies I worked with. It's very important to have something where you can store it somewhere else where no one can basically access it. So very good, Oliver. I really appreciate that. We'll look into WebArcs. Lee Jackson of HC Trailblazer. Really like your talk and your interview. I am now a subscriber to your podcast of HC Trailblazers. I liked your topics. They're very good. And as someone that's learning and wanting to gain knowledge in various aspects of building an agency, these are very good topics. So just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate, that you have a podcast. I know there's other ones that have podcasts as well, such as Troy, and a couple other guys in here as well. James Rose, which I'll talk about in a moment as well. But very good that you guys have content already that, me as a person that's learning and trying to build, that you guys have that information. So thank you very much, Lee. Gardiv Dane of Dane Media, I'm not sure if I said that right, sorry. Really liked your presentation as well. You talked about niche research. That's one of the major things that I've done research on over the past 3 years. And I really wanted to kind of put that together to build and just get started. But that niche is very important. And I think that was I think that's another pain point that I struggled with, trying to knock down that niche that I feel that, I could not only knock down the niche, but create the value that would have the people to check out your services. There's another person I'm going to speak on in a moment. I don't want to reveal it because it's coming soon anyway. But he speaks more about that, and I think he's one of my favorite talks. But I'll talk about him in a moment. But one of the things that Gareth talked about is I'm sorry if I butchered your name, man. He talked about 99% value based. That's a mindset that as myself and thinking about creating a website, creating an agency. That's something I really looked upon and really looked at in the way I was just trying to sell websites, redirect that mindset of what you really should be doing if you're really trying to have clients have clients and things of that nature. So very good about that, Garrett. If someone else talks more deeper to that, but I'll get into that as I mentioned. Rhea Stolova, I'm not sure if I said it right. She was the affiliate manager for SiteGround, another company I was looking into, but yeah, just that she's one of the leaders of the company. She talked more about reseller hosting, which is very important. It's something which is kind of like one of the ground things I was looking to include in my maintenance plans, so that I could create a whole entire package for services I'm looking to bring out. I loved her and her keynote speaking, what she was speaking on in terms of reselling hosting and reselling versus affiliates, which I'm looking to do both. And she spoke about 3 KPIs: is customer acquisition, revenue growth, and client retention, which are very important. And it's definitely something for what myself, and once I create that traction, that's an important piece. Those 3 important pieces are, ways to monitor, calculate, and make sure that you keep them in check to make sure you know your progress in your business. So I think that was a great. I think that was a great keynote speak from Rhea of SiteGrounds. That's something I really want to look more into when I go back into it. Another major one of the major talks or interviews that I liked is Joe Howard of WP Buffs out of DC. Shout out to him. Another pain point and something I really wanted to speak up on, and actually what really motivated me to do this feedback in the first place, is that he mentioned he worked a 9 to 5 when freelancing and building WP Buffs. I have a very, very familiar experience with this, and it hurts so much of me expressing this is because, especially when you lost your ground. As anybody that's been in the industry and worked in IT and worked in as a web developer, it's a highly competitive field, highly competitive. And a lot of people are looking to go freelance instead of working for companies instead. But one of the major things, you still have to work a 9 to 5, you still have to build your company. But one of the things I lost is that working so hard to get in web development, and it ended up burning myself out. I lost. Let's be honest. I lost money. I'll give you a quick thing. So I made a substantial amount of salary working for Chop. Um, entry level for Philadelphia, but still good to get started with your career. However, what happened was when I lost that career, when I started going different, I basically went from one to going all the way down to minimum wage, and that all my plans of creating my own business went down the drain. And I was subjugated to going all the way from working as a web developer to go to work as a help desk person, which I'm still in right now. And I lost that edge, I would say, when I basically went that route, because now, I mean, I still was coding on the side and everything, and I was still trying to create my portfolio and everything. But that was just something that, working at 9 to 5, building your business was a most difficult thing that I've accomplished. I've had to go through those years, and I greatly appreciate that I saw someone that actually became successful in building his company, and now he has it developed now, and now he's able to work on that company full time. So, Joe Howard, I really appreciate you sharing that. As well as he also mentioned about maintenance plans, and also he talked about the red flags and one-time edits, and spoke about people that want one-time edits, on their sites and stuff like that. I have a similar experience with that as well. But I would say with freelancing, I didn't really do too much with it because, as I mentioned, I tried to get everything else done and not really get freelancing in there important. That's why hiring yourself out of the business is one of the major important things I took away from this. I'm not gonna hold you guys too long. I have 7 minutes here, but let me just wrap it up a little bit here. But really appreciate Joe Howard. Thank you very much for that. I love your tube list as well. Thank you very much. Aquid Jabit, I believe I said it right. I'm not sure if I said it right. Of Cloudways. This was a company I wanted to work for. I'm very glad to see this was a sponsor because I was very interested in Cloudways in their agency partnership program to build those hostings, especially also that they also work with Linode as well. I love your story behind it, and after listening to your story and listening to your background about that, I'm doubling down and working with you guys in the future, especially with work maintenance plans as well. So thank you, Quib. I'm not sure if I said it right. I'm sorry. James Rose, I know Jimmy Rose. I love your automation keynote. That's something SOPs working. That's one of the major things that I've been trying to work with. This is another reason why I've been really working to try to start bringing people to work with me with the company. And I think with you speaking on automation, we've worked with Zapier, which I've worked with before as well. I think it was great. I definitely want to look more into your information when I get the access pass. Kyle Van Dusen of Ogal Design. Love your energy, man. You talked about your continued success plan, another maintenance plan as well. Very good information. It's a great way to package your maintenance plans and incorporate your users. I really appreciate what your speech. Definitely look forward to seeing more of that. I mentioned Meta Batul. She talked about Gatsby JS. React.js is another thing I've worked with over the past couple years, past 3 years, and also worked with. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to remember the company, and they're going to kill me. But basically, I worked with a company working with React.js and site generators, stack site generators such as Gatsby.js was one of the ones I was getting practice in and trying to develop and create something. So I had something that was on it I could just create for customers. I love your presentation, something I would definitely take heed of and checking out. Michael Short, absolutely love your presentation on websites as a service. This is something I'm really looking to build for my own company as well. And I love the foot in the door strategy because this is something that can help build your clients out when you have everything in front of them. This is a great way of building that for your company and having a system in place that even if it's just you or you have a team in place, you have something that's very organized. I'm one of those people that love to be organized, and that's why I'll speak on Anthony Train in a moment. But I love to have be very conscious of my steps when it comes to building out my business. I really like your presentation, man. Very good presentation. I'm gonna wrap it up. And Anthony Train, I'm bringing you guys together. I love your guys' presentation. Trap, Matt, I really like your presentation on agency traps and just the new versus the old. Really like that. It's very insightful. So the last two guys I want to talk about is Matt Cullen of Sell Your Service and Shane Realty of Branding. I think without question, Matt Cullen of Sell Your Service talking about sell futures, not features. Without question, was my favorite talk. Is a major pain point for myself. It was just something that I struggled with when I had my own business and having, being a web developer and wanting to have your services and create websites and doing what you love to do and not really having a communication with your clients. And I really appreciate you making that presentation because I can really uh, relate to that and not sharing and scaling an idea, but just trying to sell your business, trying to sell sites. and just not having the person that you're trying to sell to, their frame of mind when you're trying to create, um, trying to provide value for someone. And I think your presentation I really love because, um, sorry, I'm a little bit, going a little bit. I mean, it's a presentation, but I really felt it because it's a really hard for me to really express that because just being where I've been through, that was just something that I really um, excuse me a second. I feel like that was one of those things that I really was missing, and I really appreciate you expressing it. So thank you very much for that. So yeah, so that was one of my favorite presentations. But the other one, Saint Realty. If I said it right, sorry about that. If I butcher your last name, on branding, and then that goes along with Michael Collins about in his presentation talking about selling your service. You know, branding is one of the most important things, and you know, basically expressing yourself and being the use. So putting yourself in the reality of who your user is, and taking a step out of yourself and wanting to change something out of yourself, finding your audience and becoming that person to speak to that specific audience. I love when you did the interview, Shane, and just on that alone is something I think was something I took out of majorly because um, just being a web developer and not being able to really work on my craft always and being able um, to get those clients, it hurts because you know you want to have that freedom for yourself. You want to have that life for yourself. Just one of my and another thing too, and this goes right along with it. With Phil Morrow that talked about mental health in web agencies. Um, and I'll just wrap all this together in my final remarks, man. In my journey in trying to build my business, I went through a lot. I mean, I really can't tell you guys. And trying, and that's why I really love Michael Collins' "Selling Your Service." It really hurt in just telling you guys about what I've been through because just my path. People do not understand where you work so hard to get in your career, and whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's people don't think you're good enough, you trying to perfect your craft, trying to prove to the world what you can do and provide something for people. Um, you lose yourself, and I lost myself. I went through depression, through not being my career, not being able to focus on a family, focus on my life, travel the world, know more about myself, just all those type of things. It really hurt, and I really wanted to say that, man, because it really hurt to do it alone. It really hurt to do this alone, and I really appreciate these type of the summit because I just felt like it, the energy and what you guys have went through. I know you guys went through your own ups and downs, but it's just that energy of you guys being successful and being able to use your production and being able to build something for yourself. This is what I wanted to do. You know, why work for someone that doesn't care about you? You're working a 9 to 5, having to, you know, work minimum wage. You know, we're going. I'm in South Jersey, and South Jersey is going through. It's a casino city, and you know, many people are working minimum wage out here and trying to struggle, and are just work. I worked casino jobs. I've been a cable tech. I've been a substitute teacher. I've been doing other things that aren't in web development just so I can do an interview to get up and do that and just not just getting rejected after rejected really hurt and just the summit and just what it did for me I really appreciate. I'm definitely looking forward to buying and purchasing, but This is what makes me want to build my business. This is what makes me want to build an agency and build something where I don't have to go through that again, and help others and help others to build their own future. I really appreciate that. So I don't want to be a little emotional or anything, but to be honest with you guys, it's really a hard thing to explain when you're by yourself and you're dealing with having to deal with the odds of you getting hired or fired or whatever. And when you work very hard for your craft and you really want to continue to stay motivated, to educate yourself, to stay competitive, once you lose that, it's not gone, but your finances go. You fall behind in your debt. You fall behind in debt. You fall behind in bills. You fall behind in everything. And it has a grounding effect on your life. And one thing I would say in my final remarks is just that, just manifest and basically focus in on how you want to get with and be aligned with people that have been successful, people that have been, that have been through what you've been through, and know that you haven't been alone, and just know that this is not about you. It's about doing this for a bigger deed, doing this for people, making a difference. Sometimes it's hard to really express that and really um, express that and really try to get these things done. And I just wanted to say that, man. I appreciate the agency and really what you guys have done. And I definitely will look forward to reach out on this and yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say, guys. I'm going to share this with Jan. I appreciate it. I just really wanted to speak on this. This information is very valuable to me. I will look to get this and reach out on it. And thank you very much for this, guys. I wanted to just have this talk on this. For those people that's on my Facebook page, I do this every time. This is, I have my freestyle chats, my freestyle talks, but this was a very special one to speak in terms of the WP agency summit. I really appreciate that. I really hope that there's other ones that's out there. I would love to do one myself. And I really appreciate everyone that has had the time and energy to watch my story and really speak out about my feedback towards the summit. I know it's long-winded, but I definitely want to just speak my mind about it. Also, for those who want to know, it's a WP. I'll give you the website. It's going to be WPAgencySummit.com. If you guys want to check it out, I'll even put that in the QQs. But again, I really appreciate that. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn Howard Tibbs III. I'm Trae Star everywhere. You can basically search for me anywhere. I mean, I'm on there every time. I'm Trae Sequel at my business account. Trae Stars Palace on my personal. I'm also on Instagram as Trae Star underscore. If you guys have any questions, hopefully this will be reached out and sent in the WP Agency Summit Facebook group. I'm not sure if it will be, but I definitely do want to just share this on my actual personal page and definitely share my experience. But guys, I greatly appreciate everyone and have had joined me and was able to watch and be speak on this summit that just ended this past weekend. I really appreciate everyone that joined. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Troy. Thank you to everyone that had their presentations here and for others that are looking to build their agency businesses and looking to change their life as well. Guys, have a great rest of your week and stay strong and stay sharp. Thank you very much, guys, and have a